Oh, in September of 2024, a Letcher County, Kentucky sheriff walked into the judge's chambers, dismissed everybody that was in there, and then summarily shot him 9 times. He is now on trial for the murder of Judge Kevin Mullins. We're talking, of course, about Mickey Stines, the former sheriff of Letcher County, Kentucky. And this is the case that just keeps on taking turn after turn. I am excited to welcome Elizabeth Jones back to the channel to talk about it. Stick with us. Here we go. This video contains mature themes and discussions intended only for adult audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Hello there, my friend, and welcome back to another true crime conversation with me, Gavin Fish. So glad you joined, wherever you joined from, and wherever you joined from, please tell me in the comments. I just absolutely love that. Without further ado, let's welcome Elizabeth Jones to the channel. Elizabeth, welcome back.
Hi, Gavin. Thanks for having us, as always.
I'm always happy to have you. I love our conversations. And thanks for being flexible. I know that I've changed my schedule on you, so thanks for doing that.
You got it, man.
So you were the one that pointed out. I went back and I read this is what happened, guys. Everybody, let's do it. Let's do like an elevator pitch, just real quick. Okay. Let's go to here real quick. This is September 19th of 2024. This is Sheriff Mickey Stines. He full-on shot Judge Kevin Mullins 9 times on camera in the judge's chambers. And he is basically, it looks like it's going to be an insanity defense. But what people need to remember is this all started because of a civil lawsuit brought by this woman, Sabrina Adkins, and this woman, Jennifer Hill, who has sadly passed away. They brought a lawsuit against this guy named Ben Fields, who was the deputy sheriff for this guy, Mickey Stines. And after Mickey Stines was deposed, that is when the beginning of the end started, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So what happened after that?
So 3 days before the shooting, he went in for a deposition. And I don't know if this was what you were getting ready to say that I pointed out or not, but I noticed whenever we read that deposition that Daniel Dotson, which is one of our attorneys here locally in Whitesburg, he ended up representing Mickey in that
Right.
deposition. And he was not the attorney that was on record for him for that
Right.
case.
Did you see what he's expected to testify to in the witness list?
I read it the
Okay,
other
don't
night
don't
on
don't do
my
it yet.
show.
Okay, so this is what happened, guys. This is a federal case, so anything that is filed with the federal court, we have access to as a public record through Pacer. So we got those records, and I sent them over to Elizabeth. And typically, this is what happens on this case because you're so plugged in. I'm like, well, here are some records. Here you go. But I was focused, and I still am, on the Nick Reiner case. I don't know if you've covered any of that on your channel.
Not yet.
Ooh, okay. So I'm very focused on that case, but then you emailed me back and said, do you see that they're victim blaming here? I couldn't believe it. So tell us what was in that filing.
So one of the things, there were two things that I noticed big. The one, I didn't actually read that until we were on the show, and I had it up there, and there I was reading word for word, and I was like, what? Wait a minute. Did I just read what I thought I read?
Yeah.
So Daniel is supposed to testify to what he knew about Mickey Stines participating in the sexual abuse himself, and what he knew about other people, the higher ups.
Yes, and I'm supposed to have this open and ready, but I I messed it up. Uh, I opened the wrong documents. Let me open this here real quick.
Now,
I
the other thing that I noticed was that they are saying their big argument is that Sabrina had an attorney, that she had Bethany Baxter as an attorney before she started pursuing Ben,
right. Oh my goodness. I have to.
which I spoke to Sabrina. Um, they have settled. So she settled with the ankle monitor company.
Yeah. How
They're
did?
they're not allowed to say how much. She's not allowed to say how much the settlement was for. But there was an order in that bunch of documents where the judge was dismissing the ankle monitor company from
Yeah.
the lawsuit.
Yeah. Plaintiff notified the court that she resolved all pending claims against defendant Eastern Kentucky Correctional Services. So they're the ankle monitor company, right? So they are dismissed out of the lawsuit. They have settled it for probably some monetary something.
She
But
said she was embarrassed of the settlement.
what is embarrassed in a good way?
No, in a bad way.
Uh,
She was embarrassed to tell us. If she could tell us, she would be embarrassed to tell us how much the settlement was for. But,
yeah.
I kind of researched and looked into that. And just because they went ahead and settled with that company does not mean anything bad for her lawsuit. It actually just kind of, from what I've kind of put together, it actually just gets them out of the way. Like
Yeah.
they can just say, well, we were just for the only thing that we were related to was the equipment, you
Yeah.
know, and so
Yeah.
they can kind of just blame Ben, you know.
Yeah. I think it's probably not a bad thing. This is the document from the plaintiff's. It's the plaintiff's witness list.
Yeah.
And if we go down to number 5, Daniel Dotson, who was there representing Mickey Stines in his deposition before he shot Judge Mullins,
Yeah.
who and like we couldn't figure out, you were astute on this. You pointed out like what is he even there for, right? But look what Mr. Dotson is expected to testify concerning his knowledge of Mickey Stein's participation in unlawful sexual activities involving female inmates and of Stein's knowledge of others' involvement in such illegal activities while he was Letcher County Sheriff. That's what they're expecting Mr. Dotson to say.
Yeah. And I don't know if you caught on to it or not, Gavin, but the defendant's witness list and the plaintiff's witness list, they
Yeah.
both read very, very differently.
Yes. Yes, they do.
One of them has paragraphs for each, and the
Yeah.
other one has sentences.
Right. Here's
Individual.
Lashana Fraser, about an hour. Here's Christine Bawley, about an hour. But then the plaintiffs, man, they're just like, right?
Yeah, they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink.
Well, and I wonder if that's part strategy. They know this goes public. I wonder if there's some strategy to that.
I think all of these lawsuits are strategy. I thought that I knew a lot about our criminal justice system, but I'm not a lawyer. Remember, I'm not trained or educated as an attorney. My master's degree is in criminal justice, so I know the setup of our criminal justice system, and kind of how the procedures and stuff like that work. But I am really getting a great education now
Yeah.
on strategy, on legal strategy, on all of these lawsuits. I am filing a big lawsuit myself right now,
You
and
are.
I am. And, I'm not going to talk too much about it until it's filed,
Okay.
until we
Yeah, fair
have it
enough.
done. But it's a federal lawsuit, and it's going to be a huge one. And so, what I am doing now, what I've been doing all year, is just watching these lawsuits play out and seeing how the lawyers use the strategy for you know, um, each hearing,
Yeah.
and each outcome, whatever they're needing at the time. I'm kind of watching, and we're able to see this in the criminal cases and in the civil cases.
Yeah. I wanted to go to this part where it says, let's see, let's bring this one up right here. Okay. So starting here, defendant Fields admits to having a sexual relationship with plaintiff Adkins, wherein they would meet at night at the courthouse in Judge Mullins' chambers. Reports by plaintiff Adkins to KSP detective OAG investigator Matt Easter were that defendant Fields, Judge Mullins, and other, quote, higher ups would engage in sexual activities with individuals brought before Judge Mullins in criminal matters. Adkins state, and we've listened to this. I know you have on your channel, we have on our channel. We've listened to this proffer. Adkins stated that she had seen videos of Judge Mullins engaged in these activities. Defendant Stines, and this is the defendant's brief, by the way. So they're saying defendant Stines was unaware of these allegations involving defendant Fields until the filing of the lawsuit in this matter and his office receiving a call from a reporter. I don't buy that at all. I don't buy it at all.
That is the official story that he has went with from day one, is that is how he found out about that. The civil lawsuit was filed, was that reporter had called him and asked him for a comment on it. And then right after that was when, allegedly, supposedly, Judge Jimmy Kraft, who's over the drug court here in Letcher County, and his drug court operator, Robbie Kinser, allegedly both of them came over to the sheriff's department right after that phone call and said that they were sorry and that they apologized to him, that they had not come and told him about the accusations against Ben sooner. And that was one of the big parts of Mickey's deposition.
Here's the thing I don't buy. Okay, I can buy that he didn't know about the civil suit until the reporter called him. Sure, that, I buy that part. But
Yeah.
you're living in a small town. You're the sheriff. You've got women, and I think, I mean, we did a video on this where we titled "If there's three, there's 300." That's something that Ned Pillersdorf has said, right? It's like we know of three that were abused, and I don't won't even say allegedly because he was convicted of it. We know
Mhm.
of three women that were abused in the Letcher County Jail. It was common knowledge, according to so many other people in town, that this was happening. You're telling me that as the sheriff and as somebody who for a decade worked in Judge Mullins' court, that you had no idea what was going on in that court? I don't buy it.
And there's another big piece of this big puzzle. Breonna Taylor, or not Taylor, I don't think her last name was Taylor. I think that was the lady in Lexington, wasn't it? Breonna Taylor. Was that the girl's name in Lexington that was shot and killed by the police?
Now I can't remember, but I know
Uh,
who you're talking about. I know the case you're talking about.
okay, well, the third woman that was in all of this, these accusations with Ben, and who was in the lawsuit, only she was not named as a plaintiff. She was not actually in the lawsuit. Um, Her mother grew up with Mickey. There was a whole lot of people that grew up with Mickey Stines
Right.
there, right? And so that entire thing has really been kept on the low, 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 low.
The
Because
lowdown.
yeah, because there was a lot of funky, funny stuff that was going on in drug court. So you've got the Stacey Yates guy. Stacey Yates's name is through all of these depositions. His name is through everything. He was one of the drug court participants who came forward and allegedly told all of this information. He was kind of like the rat of the drug court, if you will.
Okay.
He was kind of, in my perspective, kind of in my eyes, looking through all of this stuff that I've, all the research and stuff that I've done. It kind of seems like he was um, the undercover guy. Like he was the one that the prosecutors and the drug court people and everybody kind of had. He was the plant, you know. Like he went in and got close to all of these girls who were in drug court, started sleeping with them, which he wasn't supposed to be doing, and then they find out who all their drug dealers are and just everything about their life. And the next thing you know, these women are just devastated. You know, all of which, and everybody that knows them, all their they go after their drug dealers, which, you know, okay, but still, that's how they're. It just kind of seems like that's how this revolving door continues. You know, they get all these people in drug court, and then it seems like that drug court and the Senate Bill 90 that Judge Mullins was involved in with all the rehab and sending everybody to treatment. You've got all these drugs that are just um, being funneled into this area, but you never hear about any real big drug busts. You don't never hear about anybody, the law enforcement actually, you know, stemming this flow of drugs into this area. And all they really worry about is putting these people in rehab.
Because
And it's
it brings in money for their cronies, right? Brings in federal dollars, federal and state dollars.
it's just unbelievable. But
You know the
state, yeah,
sucky thing about that is that like there are places in this world, including the county in which I currently live, where drug court is a like rousing success. People are going through the process. They're they're seeing the praises when they graduate from it. They've got a low recidivism rate. They've it's like it's something that could be designed and is in many places, including like where I live, which is not all that dissimilar from Eastern Kentucky, right? We have the same kind of epidemic with drugs that came in at about the same time, and an economically depressed area where I mean this really is an epidemic and has been for 30 years out here. But it
yeah,
is the one thing where I'm like, yes, man, we're helping people, and it's not like it's hundreds of people a year, but it's dozens, and in a place where this small, making that big of a difference in the lives of maybe a dozen or 2 dozen people is a huge, huge win. And so
well,
when I hear about out there in Letcher County that it's just kind of a place for as a funnel
it's
to
a
sex
trap.
up girls.
Well, it's a trap. So they would sing all those praises here too, Gavin. They would sing every bit of that same stuff that you just said. Only here's the thing. Like my girlfriend, she was given 2 years in drug court. Okay. Well, they don't really understand um, what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do, right? Like, so my girlfriend, she just loves that judge that, you know, that ran their drug court. You know, she credits him with giving her, you know, a chance and this and that. She was given 2 years in drug court. She never once tested dirty. Not one time did she relapse and test dirty. But she ended up doing 4 years in drug court. Now, when you agree to do drug court, you give up all your rights to have an attorney.
That's right.
You are bound by the rules and the drug court system, and just whatever the judge says goes, you know, this and that. But a lot of these people wouldn't have even been, you know, like there's Ben Fields should never have been arresting anybody outside of the courtroom. You know, he was not even allowed to. A lot of these people, should not have even been revoked in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
there was no, their arrest was probably illegal.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have any reason to be in front of that judge in the first place if they'd left, if they had done what they were supposed to do.
Yeah.
But like her, she did 2 years, or she was ordered 2 years, but she ended up doing double that, 4 years in drug court because they didn't like her mouth. They kept giving her sanctions, and they'd keep making her start all over at the beginning. I mean, okay, if you're okay with doing double what your original sentence was, but I don't
Yeah.
think a lot of people would be okay with that.
Well, that's the
You
thing is that what is the design? What is the purpose? And oftentimes in any program, something that where you goals be, what do they say? When goals become metrics, they cease to become goals, right? So uh, when when they're trying to, what am I trying to say? The point isn't to have people in drug court for the longest time possible. The point is to graduate them out of drug court and that they succeed, right? That they succeed in life, that they stay clean and sober, that they make a positive contribution to society. They're, I mean, that's the goal. But it seems like in Letcher County, the goal is to feed into number one, the I don't know, just the weird sexual proclivities of people in power. That's number one. And number two, to get those federal dollars into the rehab centers. And and I think that's just their goal
Yep,
at this
I
point.
think so too. I think
Yeah.
it's trying to get as much money and as much funding as they possibly can into this county. And when you don't have any kind of oversight,
Yeah.
you know,
Is Letcher County, let me ask you this. One of the things I hate about the county that I live in, and I love almost everything about the county that I live in, but one of the things that I hate about it, well, not the county, let's say the city I live in, is that the main employer is the county.
yeah,
Like the main employer is the county because this was an economic booming area until the 1990s, and then all the big businesses anyway started leaving, right? So because I don't know, tell me if this is true in Letcher County, but because the county becomes the major employer, the county depends on federal grants, state matching funds, federal matching funds in order to bring in more money so that they can provide more services to and employ more people because they're the biggest and oftentimes only game in town. Is that true in
yeah,
Letcher County?
it sure is. So one of our congressmen, Hal Rogers, put together SOAR, Shaping Our Appalachian Region, SOAR, SOAR. They are a hundred and hundreds of millions of dollars nonprofit. Um, they were started basically as a matchmaker. They came in, they don't really do anything except teach businesses and local governments how to create nonprofits, partner with each other, and get this money, this grant money, into Kentucky. Of course, they do all the um, everybody on in these big programs and in these big nonprofits. They get to pretty much um, put their own salaries in there.
Oh yeah, yeah.
These
There's
nonprofits.
no such thing really as a not-for-profit.
No.
It's a profit making enterprise for the people who work there.
Oh yeah.
That's what it
Oh,
is. Yeah, I don't like
oh
the term nonprofit. But
mm-mm.
yeah, that's and they will like an organization like that will go, well, this In order to get this $1 million, the federal government requires matching funds from some other place. And so let's match up where we can get those dollars so that we can bring those in. We'll scratch your back for helping us over here. They scratch ours, and it's horrible. Now,
Yes.
but getting back to the case at hand, so we get
Sorry.
on those side tangents pretty easily. But getting back over to the defendant's brief, let me bring it up right here. Let me keep reading this. Um, Defendant Fields, and during the time that they were engaged in a sexual relationship, the defendant is saying it was a relationship, not that it was assault. But okay, proof in this matter clearly demonstrates that the scheme to avoid payment of her home monitoring fees were her idea, and that she initially pursued defendant Fields with sexually suggestive comments, messaging, and photos. The Letcher County Sheriff's Office is not vicariously liable for an employee's conduct simply because the person is an employee. So they're saying Sabrina Atkins, she is the one that initiated this.
Well, if you remember in that interview when Matt Easter, excuse me, when Matt Easter, the Attorney General's investigator, went down to interview Ben, um, at the end of it, Ben asks him, okay, so you guys got all the stuff. So you saw the messages she was sending me, right? And they were like, oh, yeah, buddy, we saw it. We saw everything. Don't you worry. We know what you're talking about. And that Matt Easter framed every single time he spoke to Jennifer Hill, every time he spoke to Sabrina, he was the one that framed that. Oh, so you saw an opportunity. Oh, so when he started flirting with you, that's when you saw the opportunity to not have to pay for your ankle monitor. Is that right? And he knew. Matt Easter knew to follow up with those questions like, is that right? And oh, but you don't know why they would even mention the judge, do you? And he said that or asked her that right after she got done saying, I saw the video. So he was manipulating those interviews through them all. Like, I don't know how anybody listens to those interviews and does not see that as like um what do you call it, um manipulation of evidence or something. I'm
Yeah,
blank.
though, I see it a little bit differently than that. I saw it as strategy to get them to talk, especially on Ben Field's side, because ultimately Ben was convicted. He pleaded guilty, right? So I see it a little bit differently, but I appreciate and respect your point of view, and that is what the defendants are leveraging here for sure. They're saying the exact same thing,
Mhm.
and I think it's important to maybe recognize that there were some some like Facebook messages where it does appear that she had initiated it, but, and this is a huge but, let's call it a fancy but. However, uh, like that ignores the power imbalance, right?
It
It
does.
ignores the power imbalance. It ignores that this is assault because he shouldn't, like, it's so obvious. He has huge amounts of power over these women. He can revoke, he can arrest, he can or cause to arrest these women at any time. And
He
it is
did.
known within the jail the stuff that you need to do in order to get preferential treatment. It is known. So, yeah, I would imagine that a woman like Ms. Atkins, like Ms. Hill, like the unnamed third party, I can't remember her name. She's
Brianna
not
Corn
Morton. Is that what it is?
Brianna Cornett.
Cornick. Okay.
I remember.
Um, it just ignores that there's a huge power imbalance that's un it's untoward, and it is what it is. What it is. It's rape. That's what it is
Mhm.
because of that huge power imbalance. And he didn't seem to have any problem, any qualms with getting them back in jail if they didn't play ball.
I'm surprised that it hasn't come out that there was a SMEX tape with some of the drug court participants. Um, so this Stacey Yates, what I was trying to say earlier, and I just went all the way the long way around it. So Stacey Yates had a sex tape um, of the people in the drug court stuff. And so whenever he tried to tell on Ben for doing this to there were like three of the girls that I think he was trying to tell on that Ben was doing this to. Stacy got to go to rehab, and the girls who he told on, they all got revoked.
Oh, so he had tapes of his sexual encounters with those girls?
I'm not really sure who it was. I know that one of the girls was in it, and what I was told was that it was played and shown in drug court to
Oh,
everybody that was in drug court. And I'm really surprised that that has not been uh, revealed nowhere. Nobody's talked about that. Nobody has said anything about that. And I've had several people tell me about it.
like were
Uh,
they in court? Did they see it? I wonder about that.
I don't think it was there in front. It was shown to like everyone in the drug court. But I was told just a couple days ago that
Hmm.
it was. So I'm not sure. One person said that there were several people in there when it was shown, but it wasn't everybody. But there was more people that should not have been in there, to see that. Um, and then the other day, I was told by the mother of one of the people that was in it, in the video. She said that it was shown to all of drug court. So, I mean, I don't know. I've not seen it myself. I was not in the room when it was shown. So, I'm not exactly sure, but I know that it was shown to somebody who shouldn't have seen it.
Yeah, this whole thing just, and we have to like remember, dude, the all of this crap that was happening throughout Letcher County's court system ultimately culminated in the murder of a sitting judge.
Yeah.
Like it's really easy to get lost in like all of the stuff. There's just so much. But
And it's
that
easy to
dude was gunned
confuse
down.
the two.
Say that again?
It's easy to confuse the two, like the civil cases. So there was a big document release yesterday or today on Judge Mullins's widow, the
Oh
wrongful
yeah?
death lawsuit. So I've got that. That's what we're going to do on my show after this.
Oh, let
Um,
me see if I got that. I, I didn't even check my email today. Uh
it's
I
the
haven't received it yet.
it's the response to the motion to dismiss that
Oh, okay.
was put in. So we're going to read that. And I sent you the link to your text messages. I sent you the link to my show that we're going to have
Ah,
after this.
okay.
If you can do
Yep.
your magic.
I can do my magic here real quick. Let me just guys wait for us for a second while I do some magic real quick.
Yesterday, I got the two mixed up, like in my head. My mom was on the show and she was talking about something and I started going off onto the murder side of it and I was like, "Oh crap. I got
Yeah,
to go back over here to the Ben Fields case."
it's really easy to I mean the case is so um well it's
Well,
just so convoluted, right?
they're
It's
related.
just there's just so much going on. Okay, that is set up. So if you guys stick around after this, when we finish up here, it'll forward you over to Elizabeth's channel. And if you have not subscribed to Hillbilly Crime, you really should. Let's take a moment here, real quick, Elizabeth, see if there's anybody in the comments Typically, when you come on, people don't really comment all that much because they just listen to what you have to say. Let me see if there's any comments that we should bring up here.
Is
K
that pickle
Craft.
on your coffee cup?
This is a dill hole. Yes.
I
That
love it. A dill hole.
this is I use the word dill hole. I learned it from my teacher in high school. I think he learned it from Beavis and Butthead. But anytime I want to call somebody a disparaging remark without cursing, I call them a dill hole. And I try. I try.
I'm gonna have to steal that.
Okay. K Craft X4L says Mickey most likely believed his deputies and Mullins rather than looked into it. So yes, Mickey knew of the rumors, but didn't believe it until Ben pleaded guilty to it. You think? I mean, that's giving him a huge amount of grace, a huge benefit of the doubt.
Well, a
I
lot of people are still giving him that.
I think I don't, well, and you know what? Good on you for doing that, but I don't think so. I just don't think so. Okay, listen, I've got a little segment to do. I'm going to read a couple headlines. You want to stick around for headlines, and then I've got 3 questions
I
specifically
love
for
it.
you. Okay,
Yep, love
so
it.
let's go. I have to hit the right button. Let's go get some headlines.
True crime headlines.
How? Okay. Elizabeth, in this segment, I just read a couple headlines and I'm looking for stuff other than like, I want, I want weird news in true crime. And I think I found one. I think I
Okay.
found one. Check this out. Headline is former employees detail alleged long con blamed on true crime producer. Okay,
Ah,
when a television production company, when the television production company Jeff Nimoy worked for began falling behind on payroll in 2017, the Los Angeles showrunner wasn't alarmed. Bellum Entertainment was a machine, he said, producing a steady slate of true crime shows, children's TV, and documentaries. At one point, the company had upward of 30 shows on air or in development, including It Takes a Killer. And then, if I like his colleagues, Nimoy believed the company's CEO, Mary Carroll McDonald, was a wealthy aviation heiress with access to millions of dollars. Here she is right here. Okay, but that dream vanished when his paycheck stopped and Bellum Entertainment abruptly shut down. Nearly a decade later, Nimoy is still waiting to be paid over $16,000, and McDonald is a fugitive sought by the FBI.
I
She
remember.
she defrauded banks out of $30 million to produce true crime.
I remember seeing something about this the other day, but I didn't get to read
So
it.
so there she is. Let me see if I can zoom out there. There is Mary Cole McDonald. Not all things are on the up and up in true crime. Okay, the next one, real quick. This one isn't nearly as funny. This is just a case we're following. Suspect in stepsister's cruise death says he doesn't remember anything. Document C. Have you been following Anna Kepner?
I have, yes,
Okay,
personally.
so they've got this custody dispute going on between Anna Kepner's stepmom and her former husband, who are the parents of the kiddo who is the suspect in her murder. And
Yeah.
in that custody dispute, a bunch of texts were filed. And let me just read a couple here. A 16-year-old boy being investigated in the death of his stepsister, Anna Kepner, on a Carnival cruise ship has no recollection about what happened, according to text message exchanges between his parents filed in a custody court case in Florida. The boy's mother told her ex husband that the teenager kept repeating that he didn't remember anything when asked, according to court documents obtained this week by local media in Central Florida. And then we'll skip. Skip. The attorney for, oh, it doesn't matter. Just that he's just saying I don't remember anything. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up, have you been following this? Like they keep pulling bodies, including 3 more bodies out of this bayou down in Texas.
Yes, I have.
And police are saying we got no serial killer here. There's nothing to
No,
nothing to be concerned
they've
about.
been saying it for forever.
Yeah. 34 bodies in 12 months out of the same body of water. And everybody is saying, uh, after they pulled another 3 around Houston over the Christmas holiday, they're concerned about serial killing. And let's see, Mayor John Whitmire says we do not have any evidence that there is a serial killer on the loose. He said that in September as the body count broke 24. But with each new discovery from waterways surrounding the city, the speculation increases. That's interesting, man. Is it maybe people just walk in there and drown? Oh, you're muted. Did I mute you?
There we go. The last time that I noted that I was reading something about this, they were saying, "Oh, well, this one got drunk, left a bar drunk, and they must have passed out and just fell in the bayou." And this one over here, they thought took their own life, and they keep coming up with these different kinds of reasons of why these people are dying. Everything except a serial killer.
Yeah. The thing is, it's hard to be a serial killer these days.
It
Like
is.
way harder than it was during the heyday of the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
But if there's no serial killer, then you guys have some safety issues down there in Houston. Like, what's going on, man? That's pretty crazy. Uh, let's see, what is it? Let's see. Following the grim discoveries, one visitor told the to the city told a local ABC affiliate that the number of deaths this year were too high to be explained away, saying the math isn't mathing. I think there's a serial killer. So I guess we will see. Those it's just weird. Okay, you ready for questions?
Yes.
All right, here we go.
It's 3 questions with Gavin Fish.
How? I really like. Do you like the production value there?
I love it.
That's good stuff. Okay,
I
guys,
love it.
here's what we do in the segment. And typically it's just me, but when we have guests, then they are the ones that get to answer the questions. In this segment, we put up 3 questions that have been sent in by you, and we answer the 3 questions. You can send in 1 question, you can send in 100 questions, you can send in as many questions as you want, as often as you like. Just send them to 3questions@gavinfish.com. 3 questions@gavinfish.com. It's spelled THREE, questions@gavinfish.com. Here we go. Number 1, Elizabeth, what is one thing people would be surprised to learn about you that has nothing to do with true crime?
What is something that people would be surprised about? Um, well, I guess, I don't know.
You're kind of an open book. You tell us a lot, right,
I
about
guess
who you
maybe
are.
I can draw really good. I can't listen. I can't draw a stick man unless from memory. But if I have something to look at, I can draw it just about exactly.
Are you serious? No, how did you learn that?
Just in jail. No, I'm just kidding. No, I could draw a lot earlier than, than when
Well,
I
did you
went to
take like
jail.
art classes in like elementary school
Yeah,
or that sort of
yeah,
stuff?
yeah. I took art classes just like everybody else did, but I was really good at drawing, and I could shade really good. So
Yeah.
I would draw and do stuff like that. Yeah, I was
Eh,
really good.
Is it something you still do?
Not much. Whenever I went to jail and spent all that time in jail when I was young,
Yeah.
uh, I never did have anybody come and put money on my books. So I never had money whenever I went to jail. Mommy was kind of like, you got yourself in there, you get yourself out, and I ain't helping you with nothing while you're in there. Um, but so the way that I would make commissary and stuff was I would draw cards for people that were in there, like if their kids had birthdays or Christmases or whatever holiday it was. People
Yeah.
are always drawing stuff little cards to send home to their kids. So that's what I would do.
Yeah. You should post some of that stuff. I'd love to see some of your work on Facebook or something. That'd be fun.
I bet you my mom has every single letter I ever sent her. So I'll look. Absolutely.
Yeah, that sounds. I'm in a bit of a art journey right now. Well, it's no surprise and no secret. Like I turned 50 and I've had a hard time. Like and so I've been looking for different things to occupy my energy from the like all the decisions that I made that I really wish I hadn't. I'm really grateful for how things turned out. I wouldn't change a thing. But
Yeah.
but I've been looking for outlets for this energy and I've decided that I want to learn how to paint. So
Yeah,
I did a self-portrait and I did it in a pointless style. You want to see it?
I do. Yes. I love it. I love it. I love it.
So what I figured was I have wrong button. This button. I have no artistic ability, but I have photographic ability. Like that was the art that I studied. I did
Yeah.
photography, and so I thought that maybe I could do. Well, it's not going to look good up close, so I'm going to have to back up. But this is me when I'm like 17 years old. Okay, here we go.
Oh my gosh, that is wonderful.
Yeah,
You did great.
there it is. I don't know.
I
So
love
that was
it.
my first try, and I've decided pointillism's too hard. I don't want to do that ever again.
You did great.
All right, question number 2. What do we got? Oops, back up. Ugh, I'm pushing buttons too quickly. Do you think true crime coverage has improved accountability or created new problems, or both? Because we are in a
Um,
bit of a true crime renaissance. We're everywhere. My friend Kenny says true crime has ruined Netflix for him. There's just too much of it everywhere.
well, I think both. I think that it has improved accountability because there are more eyeballs, like where we can't get any kind of accountability here in Letcher County, right? I mean, there's nobody to go to, there's nobody to listen to us except the voters, except the people. So, one of the things that I kind of came up with a while back was if we can't have a proper court of law, then we will have a court of public opinion.
Yeah, maybe you can sway some votes,
Yeah,
make some change there. But
yeah.
what has it created new problems?
I think that the problems that it has created, I don't really know. I wouldn't necessarily say a problem, so maybe I should just take that back.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't think that it's really created any kind of problem, except for maybe somebody who is, being all territory, like the newspapers. We might be a problem for them. I don't think that it's a problem for me or the people,
Yeah,
but,
as far as new media kind of coming out and doing the job that old media should be doing.
yes, we are a problem for them.
Yeah, good answer. Okay, last question. If your internet search history were read out loud in court, how bad would that be and why?
I ain't worried at all.
No?
Not at all.
Dude, I am.
My entire search history would show my work. I'm a workaholic.
Yeah, but my search history would show my work on like, I don't know, like the strangest things. When you're doing a story as a journalist on like here in Western Pennsylvania, a man was just charged with over 400 counts of possession of CSAM material or
Hmm.
CSAM. And So in my research for that, looking for experts for that, writing stuff up on that, kind of looks like I'm interested in that sort of thing. It's just like I don't I hope I I cannot die or have my internet search history anywhere.
Well, I think it also context matters, like
Yeah.
it's gonna have you're not typing into the search bar, let me see
Sure,
kids,
yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it's gonna be context. Um,
I don't know. People, listen, um, I don't want to, I don't want to speak out of school, but I have joked about this before. Uh, my wife, my sweetie pie, my snuggly bear, my one and only Kimberly Fish, she bruises easily. Like she just doesn't have a lot of iron in her diet, I guess. She bruises easily. And so, like, say I were to have a heart attack, an investigator comes into our house and they see my wife who has like a bruise on her leg from something, and then they go, "We got to look at this Gavin character," and then they see all the strangulation searches that I have done. I'm worried, man.
oh, we got you back,
Okay,
Gavin.
all right,
We got
yeah.
you back.
So you're an open book. You don't care. You don't care. Your internet search history is fine.
Yep, mine is absolutely fine.
All right. Well, those were good questions, everybody. Thanks for sending those in. Remember, you can send them in to 3questions at gavinfish.com, THREE questions at gavinfish.com. We're wrapping up. Elizabeth, thank you so much for spending time with us tonight. I'm looking forward to when this case actually we can cover it and it's the murder part of the murder trial.
Yeah.
When actually, don't we have a hearing coming up with? Did they reschedule Mickey Stein's hearing, or did they just say we're going to do it another day?
I don't think that they have give us a new date for any of it yet. So, what I have found out about that was, did I talk to you after that? Was that they had just, I think that the defense went into the judge's chambers before court that day and said, Judge, we found out that you served on the Commission for Mental Health with Judge Kevin Mullins in 2023, and so we think you should recuse yourself from this
Mm.
case. And so then he came out uh, for the hearing and was like, well, I'm not going to say what just happened, but we're going to have to reschedule this.
But do you know if they had an in-camera hearing, like that they did go into the judge's chambers, or are you just thinking that?
Well, that was reported by one of the other reporters that was at the courthouse that day.
Ah,
That has a lot of really, really important sources.
we need to
So
talk to that person. We need to get
I
that
just
reporter on.
I just piggybacked.
Yeah, good for you. Good for you. Okay, so tonight you're talking about what on your channel?
So the response to the motion to dismiss the wrongful death lawsuit on Judge Mullins.
All right. So, guys, stick around on this channel. As soon as we're done, it will forward you over to Hillbilly Crime. If you have not subscribed to Hillbilly Crime, there is a link in the description below to her channel. And like I said, this will send you right on over there. Elizabeth, thank you very much for joining. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Gavin.
All right. Have a good one. I'm going to do a quick little outro here. And yeah, have a good show. All right, guys. Just another huge shout out to Elizabeth. She comes on anytime I ask, and she's easy to work with, and she is boots on the ground there in Letcher County on this case. So please head over to her channel and give her a subscribe if you like her content and you think it's worth it. Just want to quickly before we go remind you that you can always reach out to me on my website gavinfish.com. Let me get over to the right. There we go. GavinFish.com. There's always a link in the description down below. You can see articles that have been written on Crime Cod, my true crime website, and blog posts. And you can see all the different ways that you can support me. And boy, am I grateful to those of you who support me by watching my content, by commenting and liking, subscribing. And I deeply appreciate my members and my patrons. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You can reach out to me by clicking on this little icon here. If you click on the little fishy, that will take you to the fish tank where we hang out on Facebook, and you're always cordially invited to hang out with us there. With that, let's see, just a quick reminder of our schedule this week before we go. We will be doing a live stream tomorrow, and we will be off on Wednesday and Thursday, New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, back on Friday, January 2nd. Okay, with that, I will bid you adieu. Thank you very much for being here tonight. Take care. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you liked what you saw, please consider subscribing. And if you have any questions or comments, please leave them below.